Hello out there in SIGT land and rest of YouTube. This is Russian Vepr 12, made in heart of Mother Russia at Molot factory. Made with only finest inconsistencies of Russian manufacturing processes. Russian Vepr 12. Alright, so as you can see, I now have a Vepr 12. So I'm going to give you the kind of the rundown and the lowdown on what I had to do to get this thing to work, and just the overall general idea of it. Here we are, the Russian Molot Vepr 12. I got a sight mark on here, and I actually had to move it back from the chamber here because what was happening is the shells were coming up and hitting right here on it and causing it to jam. The other thing, this thing has been heavily modified just to get it to work. You can see there I had to chop the front gas block off. I didn't have a big press or something to get that off, so just to get me to modify it the way I needed to run, that's exactly what I did. I chopped this thing all up and got it to work to my will. So let's get into it. So let's talk about the construction of this gun. Man, I'm going to tell you what. It's an AK made from Molot in 12 gauge shotgun. See my compensator I have on there yet now. I haven't tried that out yet. But, I have to say that the machining in this gun was not great. Actually really horrible. I'm going to give this gun a 2 out of 5 over just the construction of it, just because of the machining aspect of it. So many things were very poorly made. When I got the gas block off of here, I couldn't get it to run and cycle off of what I was running off the get-go. So I took apart this whole top, peeked down in the gas block. You can see here picture of the portholes that were in it, and most of them were obstructed. So I had to actually take that, chop that down, and take this whole thing off just to widen out the actual gas block on the front here to open up the portholes so that it would run. So had to modify that right off the get-go. The other thing inside here, let me close that and open this up, and let's see if you can see that. But inside there, I actually polished the hammer down just so that the bolt would run back smoothly. Up top here, I was watching another video of a guy that had one of these, had to grind that little thing down just so it wouldn't rub on the bolt. Other modifications I had to do, if you see this secondary safety lever here, I actually had to run that over a polishing wheel so it wouldn't slice my hand up. Had cuts all over my hand just from handling this thing. I left the rubber thing on the front here that came with it so I don't freaking slice my hand up there. Actually went in with a grinder right there and ground down so that the safety would come down smoother so I can actually use the secondary finger safety lever. So, heavily modified just to get it to run. It did not run out the box. I know a lot of people have these and say they did run out the box. I could not get mine to. I mean, I had the utmost faith that this thing would run out the box. Did not. Did not do it at all. So, besides polishing numerous amounts of parts, running through about maybe 200 rounds of shotgun shells just for functionality checks, I finally got it to work, and that's why I give that construction a 2. I mean, the rest of the gun's solid. The sights are really good. The front sight post is great. Even the stock. This one, it's not a folding stock. So you can't even break a weld on there and get it to be a folding stock if you make it USA Parts compliant. So, you know, that's something, they must have changed something throughout the years of, you know, these being out there. And this one that I got is just not that great. Now that I got it running, it's awesome. So the construction, definitely 2 out of 5. Okay, the ergonomics. You know, pretty much the feel for it. Yeah, I like the feel for it. This front, just very plasticky. Not a great feel for it. You know, the hand grip is just your standard hand grip. It's kind of nice with the finger slots there. So, you know, that's pretty comfortable. The stock's not bad. And this thing right here, you know, the cheek riser's not bad. It does change position. You can move this around, but I actually have this thing zip tied off right there where the spring is because what I was finding is I'd rapid shoot it or something, my cheek would rub on that thing, pop it over to a different position, and it was like, fuck, you know, I'm like, man, can I, you know, get it to stay in place? So I zip tied it there, cut the little zip tie off, and that's how I got it to work. So on the ergonomics, I'm gonna give this thing a 3, just because you can put some customization into this thing and probably make it a 5, make it fit beautifully for you. But just out of the box, you know, definitely a 3. Not the most comfortable thing. Like I said, I filed all this stuff down, polished it up just to get rid of the sharp edges. And you know, that's why I'm dinging it a little bit on that ergonomics, is, you know, how does it feel? The rest of the gun, I mean, it feels like an AK. It feels great like that. But you know, that's just an AK. I'm just saying that, you know, out of the box, it's not that great. Customize it, make it your own, make it great. All right, the controls and the safety. I actually liked the controls of this. This is a magwell, you know, so it's an AK with a magwell. You know, the magazine just slips right in there. You got a little button on the back here, pops it off. It's actually got a good positive release there. So, man, I like that. That's awesome. Other thing here is you've got this finger safety here, so you're not having to reach all the way up here. I plan on running this for 3 gun, so, you know, it's just going to be really easy for me to kick that back down. Like I said, to get it to work, I had to modify the piss out of this thing. So, you know, I like the controls. Of course, you know, everything else is just standard AK. You know, bolt on the right-hand side and all that stuff. So I can't really ding it for the controls. I really like it. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 for the controls, just because with maybe a little bit of modification to this, you know, you can make it great. And like I said, sharp, like polishing off those sharp edge there, don't slice your finger up, that type of stuff. Other than that, I mean, it's fantastic for the controls. All right, the weight and the balance. For what this gun is, it's a 12 gauge semi-automatic shotgun, magazine fed. You know, you're not talking about the most lightest of guns, and of course I put that gigantic break on there. Now they do make bigger ones, and I call that gigantic just because it's a 12 gauge freaking break. You know, so, you know, it's not too heavy. You know, I can't really say exactly how many pounds it is, and I'm sure you can find a statistic on that somewhere. But I mean, it's not bad. You know, the balance is not bad. I mean, even when you got this thing loaded down with this giant 12 round mag, you know, look at that behemoth. I mean, that just looks like you can shoot all day. I mean, it's 12 rounds. I mean, it looks ridiculous, but 12 rounds. You know, even with that on there, it actually, you know, feels pretty good. You know, it doesn't feel just off kilter or off balance. I give it a 4 out of 5 for the balance and the weight. I mean, it's not unruly. It's a little bit heavy, but really not that bad. And, you know, the only reason I'm giving it knocking it a point for the weight and the balance is it's just, you know, for a shotgun, you know, there are other shotguns out there that probably have a much more phenomenal weight and balance than this thing. All right, let's talk about the breakdown. The breakdown is same AK breakdown like every other AK. The only thing is you have this little dimple button in the top where other AKs don't, so you have to push that down, you know, push that forward and then pull up on your back. Now the nice thing about it is it's hinged, so real simple, you know. You're just to take your spring out, take your bolt out, and, you know, I'm not going to get into it, but you flip your lever up on the side here, take your gas tube out. There's a little puck in here instead of AKs. They don't have that puck, but you take the puck out. Forgot about that, but that's something else I had to modify, was that puck. I just went in and polished it up. It was just very rough machining. But you know, as far as the breakdown, standard AK breakdown, real simple to put back together. You know, you just slide your bolt back there, make sure that slides down there, and also, you know, slide your spring back in, slap your cover down. You know, while I have this apart, one of the other modifications I had to do is right there, the ejector tab down here looked like it was ground too far down, that little ejector tab. I actually went in and welded on a little bit of extra, and I found that that was the golden goose. That's what made everything run so much smoother. I was having problems with high brass clays not wanting to eject, and I'm thinking, man, it's high brass. I mean, Jesus Christ. What can I do to get this thing to run any smoother? I did that, welded on a little bit, ground it back down, brought that ejector tab up just a little bit more, and man, it's silk now. So with all the other modifications, had to do that. So, you know, breakdown, easy peasy, standard AK breakdown, military style rifle breakdown, 5 out of 5. I mean, Kalashnikov couldn't have got it better. You know, perfect execution of that. And I'm going to throw another category in here real quick, and that's just the modification complexity of this gun. And the modification, like on an AR, you know, that's a 5 out of 5. Easily modified. You don't have to do much. Everything's pretty standard parts. On this, you know, you can get parts that are a little bit harder to find because it's, you know, it's a Vepr. Some of the Sega parts do transfer over pretty good, like the brake, the chokes, all that stuff. The magazines, you're going to have to modify them to get them to work. But, you know, finding parts is not the simplest, the easiest thing to do. And of course, you know, later on, you know, after the whole Sega rush, these things come out, and it's just harder and harder to find the parts. So on the modification complexity, you know, you can't find that many parts. The parts you do find are probably out of stock, or you have to order them from some special place. With grinding down the front gas block to get it to work, that's, you know, that's not many people are going to want to tackle that, and I wouldn't recommend tackling that unless you're completely confident or you don't care about blowing $800, because I'd spent about $800 on this stock. You know, taking off the hammer, grinding and polishing that down. Taking off the trigger, I polished that down a little bit too. Polishing the puck, unless you know how to polish parts, I wouldn't tackle that. And as far as me wanting to send this all the way back, I mean, I waited long enough just to get this thing, and I'm like, screw it, I'm not going to send it back. I'm sure I could probably send it back and they'd get it fixed up and running, but I'm more of the tinkering kind of guy. So I want to tinker with this thing, I want it to get it to work, and I want to get everybody out there to know, you know, what's going on. So the modification complexity of this, you know, I've tinkered around with it, had to modify this and that, trying to get it to work. It's not easy to modify very well. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 for the modification complexity. Overall, the gun, I have to say, is probably in the 3 category for an overall rating. Once you do everything that I did to this gun, my gosh, it's awesome. I mean, it's 12 round box fed semi-automatic 12 gauge shotgun. How much more awesome than that? I gotta glue that fucking camera down. You know, how much more awesome than that are you gonna get from a 12 gauge shotgun? You know, box fed, semi, couple mags, and you could fill a whole box in 2 magazines. I mean, that's awesome. So once all the modifications are done, once all that stuff is done, once you go through all the heartache of figuring out what's wrong with it, and I'm only speaking of mine. Now I know there's a lot of guys out there that have probably picked up the Vepr and they're like, oh, this thing's smoother than silk, you know, it just runs great out of the package. Well, I did not have that experience, and I'm just letting you know the experience that I had with this. So, you know, a 3 out of 5 out of the package. It does have the potential to become a 4 out of 5. With you know, the right rounds, you can even get a 5 out of 5. So I'm saying the potential is there for it to be a great gun, but you're going to have to modify it. You're going to have to get it to run right. This is my experience. That's all I'm trying to say is this gun. You know, if you've had a Vepr and it ran great out of the package and you bought it recently, late 2015, 2016, let me know. Put in the comments, say, hey man, my Vepr ran great. You know, I'd like to know if mine was just an oddity. Let me know this. I mean, I would really be enthralled with seeing exactly what you guys come up with, and you know, who else has had these experiences. If you've had a similar experience, let us know, and maybe this video will help you, let you know what you can do to your Vepr to make it run better. This is Randy with SIGT signing out.